Hey, it is cutting down the nets. It's the big Saturday. Man, only a few more big Saturdays left, which is good because I get worn out. Got to get up early in the morning, got to stay up late. It's the only way to make it happen. Who am I? We are cutting down the nets. Bet stamp user ID CDTN. If you are getting picks from anyone or getting advice from anyone and they don't have trackable and verifiable plays, run away. Any bet I've placed this year is verifiable on BetStamp, and I'm 56% for the year. But don't be scared away by the 19 and 24. Don't worry, I'm fully tilted by that. But this is not a show that complains about losses. We move forward, it's a process, and we are going to dig into the full slate of games. You will notice in the description and the first comment of this video, this spreadsheet that I am walking through right now is available for your use. I've put notes in there. Sometimes there'll be notes on games that don't show much variance from the spread, and you might be, why do you do that? Look, I prepare pretty early, so that means before lines are out, and I will be working off a KenPom line. And then, of course, the books line is harder than what the KenPom line was, and I just leave it up. So if you're new here, Paddy is my efficiency model. What is an efficiency model? It takes the adjusted offensive and defensive efficiencies for the two teams playing, and it mashes them up. How would this team perform against national average? And then how does that change when they're playing against the type of team that they're playing now? What I do that's differently is I weight recent play far heavily than most sites, but I'm still calculating a range of outcomes, meaning on this first game, when you simulate something 10,000 times, there's some times where Texas A&M wins by 38 points. There's some times where Auburn wins by 45 points. Those don't happen very often, maybe a few out of 10,000. And then this median, the meaty part of the bell curve, is what I'm showing based on recent efficiency. I also will cite two analytic sites, Torvik and KenPom, just as reference. You can see how in line I am with them. KenPom holds on to preseason priors more than Torvik. Torvik and I are close, but Torvik will use more season-long data, but he'll weight recent play, just not as strong as me. And then these are the actual lines. I've tested this. It works. I've shown you this year that it works. So when I lose for even 2 days in a row, I get kind of cracked. This final tally over here is the variance or the delta between Paddy's line and the actual line. I will also reference for each game this group of numbers that's first up is shot quality. Shot quality is an innovative website. There's more information and links in the description of this website, but it basically says, based on the shots these teams are taking and who's taking them and how open they are, what's their expected point value. It's kind of like EPA in football, if you follow that. So I'm referencing that to see if my efficiencies check out or if possibly they are showing potentially a little bit of luck and maybe due for regression one way or the other. I will also look at the four factors. The four factors in a college basketball game are effective field goal, basically like how often do you put the ball in the hoop and keep the other team from putting the ball in the hoop, and it weights 3-pointers more. Turnover percentage, offensive rebound percentage, and free throw rate, the rate at which you get to the foul line. That's me. What I try to do is also factor in spot. So situational betting is important. That's in the description of this video as well. So a dream play for me is where Paddy says this is a good play. Shot quality says, yeah, that checks out, meaning these teams are apart in shot quality in your favor. It's a good situational spot. Maybe there's been some close losses for the team I'm looking to back recently and some close wins for the team I'm looking to bet against. And then from a matchup perspective, either something stands out positively or there's nothing crazy scary in the matchup with the four factors. So I know a lot of you are new and you're trying to catch up. So I thought on a big Saturday it'd be helpful to just kind of give you a lay of the land, especially if you're going to be looking at this spreadsheet. I color code. Gray is I'm not going to bet that game. Oranges, I could bet that game. And I'm a human just like you. It's fun to make bets. I don't want to make a bet unless it's plus EV. And orange is like, I'm thinking about it. Green is, I've made it or am about to make it, basically waiting on maybe a key piece of information. And yellow is, I'm very close to making that bet. I'm waiting for something. Could be a better line, maybe a little injury news. And then I give a recap at the end. So orange game. I filed this under, if you want some early action, I do see an edge here in Lehigh over Lafayette. I'm scared off by the shot quality. Neither team can really be trusted, though, because these are two pretty bad teams. But the Lehigh offense is definitely better. It's orange. I mean, I probably won't bet it, but I'm listing it here for your reference. Arkansas and Alabama. Tough one here. Recent efficiency is Arkansas actually favored on the road here. Shot quality has these teams nearly identical, just opposite ways. Arkansas has a rough offense and a good defense, and Bama is playing better offensively, but has not been the same defensive team after losing some key pieces last year. Both of these teams have been awful from the perimeter. We're expecting them to regress positively, but have been expecting them to regress positively for like 6 weeks. So it may never happen. I don't know. They sit 311th and 280th in three-point percentage. So this is a buy high on Arkansas, which I don't like to do. Coming off their big win, but they've been very consistent defensively. They have a turnover edge in this game, and I think they can neutralize Alabama on the boards a bit. And when you control the boards, you control the pace, which can lead to more open looks in transition. So, Paddy likes it. Shot quality is okay with it. Matchup likes it. I just don't like the spot. That's what's really holding me back. But I have bet this game so far. Texas and Baylor. Texas 12th in shot quality, Baylor 4th. But do factor in that Baylor's played shorthanded for, it feels like the entire season. It hasn't been that long, but certainly feels like it. Baylor does have an edge on offensive rebounds, and that can lead to transition, which is what you need to do against Texas. This would have been a perfect spot situationally to back Texas had they not beat Kansas. And after watching that game against Kansas, I'm not sure how they beat Kansas. Plus, Baylor's profile has been pulled down a little bit by their own game against Kansas, as well as the injuries that I mentioned. So Paddy likes this game closer than the two possessions that currently exist for the line, but it's a scary play, and Baylor's health is the number one concern. Just a note here on Seton Hall Villanova, every week, every day, every time Seton Hall plays, is Bryce Aiken playing? They haven't been the same without him. Well, he's now out indefinitely with concussion. It's not a play for me either way, but just a FYI why that's there. This showed as a game worth handicapping for me just because KenPom had Central Connecticut favored, but the line came out with St. Francis favored, and that shut that down for me. Merrimack Wagner's in gray just because it's just not my style to lay double digits with a team that's 17-2. You'll see I prefer underdogs. I'm not afraid to back a favorite, but I certainly need a good reason to do it. Temple Tulane. This was a surprising one for me because if you look at Temple's performance and their offensive statistics, I was surprised to see that they are 105 in shot quality, including 112 in shot quality offense. So this is pretty close in shot quality profile. Now Tulane is at home. The line's probably going to settle around 4, would be my guess. But this tells me that Temple is likely missing a ton of open shots. And we saw the issue against Memphis, although Tulane should have covered that game. They're going to get killed on the boards. Tulane, not a good rebounding team. So there's enough risk there that I don't want to play it. But if it got sub 4, I probably do. So that's why it's an orange. Orange is more based on 4.5 point spread. We'll scroll down. Made notes on this one because KenPom was 13, but then it came out at 10.5. So I favor the Elon side, but would want to see that closer to the KenPom number to have any interest. Just a note on Rutgers, Wisconsin. I know everybody wants to back Rutgers. I'm looking for reasons to not follow the crowd, but Shot Quality has the 19-4 Wisconsin Badgers as a should be 15-8. That's a stay away from me. Northeastern and Drexel. So Paddy favors Drexel here. Northeastern's been a fade for quite some time. Shot quality disparity, but from a matchup perspective, like nothing really stands out here. So it's pretty much a straight efficiency play, and it's a bad situation given all the losses by Northeastern. That's why that's orange. Ball State Buffalo. This is a tough one for me because I want to play Ball State, but I'm trying to get a better number. Shot quality wise, Ball State 191, Buffalo 139. I think Ball State could struggle with rim defense here, and Buffalo did go 12 out of 19 at the rim in the first game. And Ball State's been lifted a bit by 3-point this year, but they've kind of been consistent that entire year. So sometimes when there's recent 3-point play and it's out of the ordinary, that's cause for concern. This is a team that's shot the ball fairly well the entire year. They did go 4 out of 25 from 3 in the first game against Buffalo, and that was a 6-point loss. I'll just clear up some spelling there for the kids in the back. Chuck South at Gardner-Webb. Thought that would come in closer to maybe 19 or 20, and I would take a look, but sure enough, books are too sharp. South Carolina, Georgia. Home Georgia might be a thing. They certainly have performed better at home. They're still a bad team. They have major turnover concerns here. They have rebounding concerns here, but they do have that big free throw edge, which could come into play at home. So it's thin. If they were getting more than a possession, I'd be interested, but at 2.5, it's a pass for me. Bryant and LIU Brooklyn. This previous matchup featured 12 technical fouls, so I'm kind of surprised if this game actually finishes. Like something's gotta go down. There's gonna be a lot of emotions. I'm sure the coaches have really talked that up this week on trying to prevent something happening. But man, coming off a game with 12 technicals in the previous game. From a data perspective, efficiencies like Bryant by 4.5 on the road here, and shot quality has Bryant as 180 and LIU as 295. I haven't bet it yet, but certainly would be interested. I'm just a little concerned that game doesn't fall into a median expectation, if you know what I mean. Like, could be an outlier type performance. Chattanooga at Furman. I am interested in the Furman side, but I would like to see confirmation that Silvio De Souza is not going to play for Chattanooga, and I don't have that yet. Shot quality has these close. Furman 95, Chattanooga 137, and shot quality has the 20-5 mocks as actually should be 16-9. Ultimately, it's going to come down to Furman 3-pointers. I've lost 2 straight Furman bets where they weren't falling. I'll probably sit this one out, and they'll shoot 55% from 3 and blow out Chattanooga. So I'm monitoring this game. I'm not out on it yet, but I don't like to lay points more than a possession. Because here, we're about to lay some points. Brown, Cornell, these teams are close in shot quality. Efficiencies have Cornell by 6.5. I view Cornell as the more complete team, but they certainly have some ball security risks here. They do have a free throw edge, which gets amplified in a home court setting. So I saw enough here to make that play. I'm not waiting on anything there. So I played Cornell minus 2.5. A big road favorite here, Sam Houston State at Chicago State. I have Sam Houston State by 14. Shot quality has Sam Houston 201, Chicago State 321. Sam Houston State has the turnover edge, the rebound edge. They shoot 43% of their shots from 3, and Chicago State allows a 38.6% 3-point percentage. So lots to like as long as you're okay laying double digits on the road, which is tough to do. So if that got closer to the KenPom number or even lighter than that, that would certainly help. Don't know if it'll happen. Memphis Houston. Look at the analytic trio there. Paddy, recent efficiency, Torvik, KenPom, all saying like, look, Memphis looks like they're all put back together, and that gives us Houston by 2 touchdowns, which is crazy. So shot quality has Memphis in the top 50, Houston in the top 5. There are certainly a lot of matchup edges for Houston. Most importantly, the glass and the turnovers. If you pull up the Memphis profile on Bart Torvik, you can clearly see the pocket of games where they went at full strength. So the 15.2 is likely high, but how high? Like, does it come down to 12, to 11? I still think there's an edge on the Houston side. Don't like to lay a lot of points, but I'm willing to watch this one plummet. I think it plummets, and I want to see how far down it'll go. Indiana at Michigan State. Indiana with the shot quality edge here, 25th. Michigan State 41. Shot quality has that 17-6 Spartan team, as it should be 12-11 based on the shots they've taken. We are expecting the 5 suspended Hoosiers to return, and I place this bet as expected. Indiana plus 4.5. So, like the spot, like shot quality, like the efficiency, sign me up. And if they extend those suspensions 1 extra game, I'm screwed. But it doesn't look like it. Bowling Green and Miami, Ohio. So notice that there's 8 points of variance between Paddy's line and the actual line. Here's why I'm not playing it. Miami, Ohio actually has a better shot quality profile, and they're at home. Bowling Green should handle offensive rebounds and get in transition, but shot quality has the 10-13 Miami of Ohio as it should be 14-9. And really this is showing just because Miami of Ohio has played really poorly for like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 games, and it's really dragging them down. Citadel and VMI, it's just a lot of points. It's a high variance game. Going to be a lot of 3-pointers in a fast-paced game. Bill and Mary, James Madison. This is tough because their first game went to OT despite 25 William and Mary turnovers. And if you look at this matchup, there's certainly turnover concerns. And William and Mary is sloppy enough that recently they went 10 out of 18 from 3 against UNC Wilmington and lost by 22 points. So just cause for concern when you're backing bad teams like that, even if the data supports it. So tough one for me. South Carolina State, Coppin State, rebound edge for South Carolina State. But Coppin State's a high variance team. They shoot about half their shots from 3-point. Coppin State won the first game by 9. So it's thin right now, and it certainly features 2 bad teams. Cal and Oregon, I'm high on the Ducks right now, but unfortunately, so are the books as they came in 2.5 higher than KenPom and Torvik. I have it at like 17, which I know is high, but I'm just not interested in laying 2 touchdowns. Murray State, Morehead State. Long story short, I'm waiting for at least a 3 here before I bet it. I don't want to bet a 2.5. Murray 60th in shot quality, Morehead 122. We're looking for a bounce back. Morehead led Belmont the entire game, and for some of it by a lot. And ultimately, I think trailed for the very first time with 30 seconds to go and lost the game. So I'm just looking for a full possession and then a Morehead State bounce back there. K-State, Iowa State, 65 shot quality for K-State, 45 for Iowa State. The Iowa State offense is beginning to crater, but albeit versus better competition. They've certainly played a tougher schedule outside the West Virginia game. Both these teams have unsustainable 3-point defenses, so I don't know which one will regress first. Asheville, USC Upstate. Efficiency favors USC Upstate, but shot quality has Asheville nearly 100 points higher than Upstate. So that's a tricky one to back for me. All right, so I'm going to get on a soapbox for a little bit. Marquette, Butler. I need everyone to understand that I get situational betting. I do. Marquette's overvalued. I understand. Shot quality has them as a should be 12-2. But not everything's a trap. It's not like, well, this is a trap. Like, no, I think it's a fair line, and I think it's difficult, and I'm just choosing the Marquette side. But I get tired of the bros on Twitter that win like 48% of their bets just trying to, like, quote unquote fade the public, which isn't a thing, by the way. Um, and they're just the loudest ones when they win. And then again, they'll lose like 54% of the time and get pretty quiet. But so one thing that concerns me here, I've referenced good handicappers many times on this show, and I see that Eli Hershkovich is back in Butler. That makes me not feel too good about it. But hey, Eli wins about 58% of the time. I win 56% of the time. Something's got to give, right? Bellarmine, North Alabama. This is just an ugly matchup all around. Like, if you look at that matchup, like, everything's red, which is just a sloppy game. So I'll pass. Hold your nose at this one. Hey guys, would you like to bet on 1-20 Mississippi Valley State? Because it actually looks like a possibility here. These are bottom 3 teams in all of college basketball, but turnover edge for Mississippi Valley State. And in the last meeting, they forced 17 of them, but also went 6 out of 18 at the rim, which my 7-year-old son, I think, could go 7 out of 18. I mean, assuming no one's going to block the shot, but 33% at the rim is tough to do. Belmont at Southeast Missouri State. Shows as a play against Belmont, but Belmont is the king of the bad OVC teams. They struggle against Moorhead and Murray, but everyone else, they blow out. And Belmont did win this first meeting by 40. So this is where it takes a human to look into the model and be like, yeah, I'm just going to sit that game out. Doesn't mean I'm betting the other side, just sitting it out. Not much here. Central Arkansas is a little too low, and Jacksonville State's a little too high for me to just pick the Central Arkansas side. Arizona, Washington State. Arizona, Washington. Washington State is the bet I lost 2 nights ago, even though they shot 16 more shots than Arizona. They couldn't cover 2 possessions. Okay, Arizona's 3 in shot quality. Washington's 120. Washington's certainly playing better now than they did early in the year. So I'm going to try it again. Just fired up with a worse team and a bigger number on this road trip for Arizona. Washington's going to get murdered on the offensive boards. It's going to happen. So they're going to need turnovers, and they force them even better than Washington State does. So look for another Kerr Krissa turnover game. And what I'm doing here is waiting. I would like the 15, and it's sitting at 14.5. Tricky game here. Like the data on SMU. Like the shot quality on SMU. Situationally, after the big win that SMU just had, this is just an awful spot. But I'm a sucker. I'm probably going to bet it. I just need to figure out when and why, I guess. But look at that shot quality. SMU, 23rd in shot quality. Yikes. That's real strong. ECU, no slouch, but I don't know. It's tricky laying 2 possessions after a huge emotional game a few days ago. LaSalle, Richmond, not much to mention here. LaSalle's showing as a play just because they have 2 recent offensive outlier performances. Vermont and Albany. Will Vermont ever miss? They certainly haven't since they started conference play. They're 97th in shot quality. Albany is 282. Vermont won by 12 in the first meeting, but during that meeting, Albany shot well from 3. So this game is now at a different location. It's at Albany, but I'd expect Albany to regress a little. So I'm watching this one. It's inflated, but it's inflated because Vermont hasn't missed a shot since like Christmas. Tough one. Notre Dame, Clemson. I was hoping we'd get a bigger number here. Clemson dealing with suspension of Collins and Nate. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Lazeski. Notre Dame, sorry. Lezeski for Notre Dame is questionable. He missed the last game. I'm hearing game time decision. Don't know if he'll play. But here's what I like about this game. Notre Dame is 32 in shot quality. Clemson's 51. So that's a little edge for Notre Dame. Recent efficiency has Notre Dame by 1. And we're getting 1.5. So if it got to where I was getting 3 and Lezeski was playing, that's probably enough. But I don't know if either will happen. Charleston, UNC Wilmington. Tricky one. It's just tough to ignore the shot quality difference there. Charleston a little higher than UNC Wilmington. I think it's well documented that UNC Wilmington's just running a little hot right now. This game's okay. Arkansas State, South Alabama. I've got South Alabama by about 2, and they're currently laying 6, so I favor the Arkansas State side. These teams are about even in shot quality, likely to be turnovers on both sides. Slight rebounding edge to Arkansas State. Mississippi State, LSU. I've got LSU by a half point, and they're laying 6.5. Shot quality has Mississippi State favored. Turnover concerns on both sides, and a big rebound edge for Mississippi State. Drake and Bradley. Situationally, this is a pretty good spot for Drake off 2 losses. Shot quality favors Drake a little bit, so it's really forcing me to rely on the efficiency model, but the matchup's fairly neutral. So it's kind of a meh play for me. Bradley did win by 12 at Des Moines earlier this year. I'm done with Oral Roberts games. Air Force San Diego State. Anytime you're getting like 19 points in a game that has an over-under of 114, I think you should pay attention. But man, the matchup's really bad for Air Force. They're going to turn the ball over before they get a shot like 25, 30% of the time. And if they miss that shot, they will not get the offensive rebound. So you're going to need them to make like 12 3-pointers in this game and pray to God. UCLA, USC, it's a tough one. Shot quality is fairly close. Mobley for USC, their big man, is going to play, albeit with a broken nose and a mask. Yeah, it's tough. I have UCLA by 6.5, and they're laying 2 on the road in what should be a spirited game. LMU at Portland. I have Portland by 5.5. Shot quality favors Portland. Really, it's a situational letdown spot. They just beat San Francisco. So that's the only tricky part. Data likes it. Shot quality likes it. It's just the human element of winning the big game, hearing all the good stuff about you all week, and now LMU walks into town. How do you get yourself amped up again? So, left side are bets I've placed so far. Some of them, albeit reluctantly, meaning Marquette and Portland based on situation. And then this right side is things I likely do, but just not sure of the timing yet. And sometimes you just sometimes I'm waiting on line movement, and sometimes I'm waiting on like courage of like, all right, let's do it. But you kind of get a feel for the type of games I'm play. Notre Dame, I'm waiting on a +3, as I mentioned. Moorhead's at 2.5. I want a 3 there. Houston, I'm actually waiting for that line to dip. Texas, I don't know. Maybe it goes to 7, but maybe it doesn't matter, is kind of where I'm stuck on that one. So this is the long show. It's 150 games. I feel like I've highlighted 15 or 20 that I personally am going to hone in on. But the spreadsheet we just reviewed is in the description of this video. So if lines change, you can reference them to the Paddy numbers. You kind of see the research I'm doing. My goal is to make you a better handicapper and not just give out picks. So this is Cutting Down the Nets. Good luck this Saturday.